Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nathaniel, and together with my team members, Annie, Saeed, and Ashmit, we'll be presenting our analysis on our four major companies. These companies are technology companies, and today we'll share and compare the companies which are Apple, Samsung, Sony, and Siemens. We'll compare all of these companies and look how these companies performed in the 2023 and 2024 examination, both their financial results and their social responsibility efforts. Our goal here is to help you understand which company offers the best investment opportunity. So let's begin. Let me give you a simple overview analysis on what what we studied and the four major companies that we looked at. Our analysis has two parts. The first is being the financial performance, and second is the non-financial performance. So I'll start with the financial performance. We looked at four important areas, which is liquidity. Liquidity meaning can the company pay its bills on time? Profitability tells us how much profit a company makes, and debt, which shows how much money does the company owe, and other one is efficiency. This tells us how well does a company use its resources that it has. Secondly, we looked at non-financial performances. We examined their sustainability efforts in two areas, which are people and planet. The people being how do they treat their employees and how do they perform any training? Is the diversity good? Do they support diversity? And in the planet factor, that is, what are they doing to protect the environment? And what sustainability platforms they have? So, in our findings, we were able to identify that Apple had the strongest profitability and efficiency. They make the most profit uh, from their assets, being to manage inventory well, and also making a huge amount of sales in those given years. Samsung had also the best liquidity. This means they had plenty of cash or assets to cover their short-term costs as needed, and they are also growing fast. Siemens shows stable performance and focuses heavily on sustainability. Sony is somehow improving, but still performing below the other three companies. So now let's get to know the four companies which our group did our analysis on. I want to start by introducing the companies and help you guys understand on what they do. So I'll start with Apple. Apple is based in California. It's a United States company. Most of you probably know Apple, and they make consumer electronics basically like the iPhone, iPad, Mac computers, and Apple Watch. They also offer like digital services like Apple Music, Apple Store, and Apple TV. This makes Apple special because they have a strong ecosystem. This means all their products work together smoothly. Once you buy one, the influence you to buy another one. For example, if you have an iPhone, that will influence you to get a MacBook or an Apple Watch. And that's basically Apple's strategy. Apple has a very loyal customer base, and this is due to the reasons I mentioned earlier. People usually keep buying Apple products year after year. Apple basically changed the mobile industry when they launched the iPhone in, I believe, 2007. Moving on to Samsung. Samsung is South Korea. Samsung is a diverse technology company. They do many different things. Yes, they make consumer electronics like smartphones, tablets, TVs, but they also make semiconductors where they make computer chips and which goes inside their phone and they also supply to other phones. This gives Samsung a unique advantage. They can make their own parts and also sell parts to other companies. Sometimes Samsung competes with Apple and smartphones, but they also supply parts to Apple. In early 2024, there was a study about Samsung, and Samsung basically was the number one smartphone seller in the world with about 21% of the market. So this indicates how strong Samsung is and how it can compete. Sony is a Japanese company based in Tokyo. Sony is famous mainly for entertainment and gaming. They make the PlayStation, the world's most popular gaming console. And Sony is also number one producer of image sensors like cameras that go to inside a smartphone. And they're the second biggest camera manufacturer in the world. Sony's strength is combining hardware, content, and also, as I mentioned, the PlayStation consoles and they own Sony Pictures, which is biggest entertainment production. So they create both devices and entertainment content people can enjoy on their devices. Moving on to Siemens. Siemens is different from the other three. Siemens is a German company founded in 1847. That is over 175 years ago. They don't make consumer products like how Apple and Samsung Sony does. They are more focused on industrial technology. They make automation systems for factories, transportation equipment, and medical devices through their healthcare divisions called Siemens Health. They work in over 200 countries with about 320,000 employees. Siemens is a leader in factory automation and digitalization, helping industries become smarter and more efficient. So we have four different companies.
Hello everyone, my name is Syed Amir Yusuf and today I will be presenting a brief financial analysis comparing four major companies, which is Samsung, Apple, Siemens and Sony using key ratios from 2023 and 24. Our analysis focuses on four categories of ratios: liquidity, profitability, debt and efficiency. These ratios help us understand each company's ability to pay its debts, generate profit, manage leverage and operate efficiently. So first we'll be starting off with liquidity ratios. So here Samsung clearly stands out. In 2024, it has the strongest current ratio at 2.43 and the highest quick ratio as well at 1.88, showing a very strong ability to meet its short-term obligations. Siemens follows next with moderate liquidity, whereas Apple and Sony show tighter positions, with Sony having the weakest liquidity across both the ratios. Next, we move on to profitability comparisons. Apple leads by a wide margin, with a gross profit margin of 46.21% and a net profit margin of 23.97%. Apple is the most profitable company overall. Siemens takes second place in both profitability measures, whereas Samsung shows major improvement but still lags behind. Sony once again ranks the lowest with the weakest profit margins. Now we move on to solvency comparison. The equity ratios shows that Samsung holds the strongest equity position, while Apple sits on the lower end. When we shift to debt ratio, the picture reverses. Apple and Siemens carry the highest reliance on debt financing, whereas Samsung maintains the lowest debt burden. This contrast highlights Samsung's balanced capital structure and Apple's greater dependence on leverage. Now, lastly, we move on to efficiency comparison. The inventory turnover metric reveals a clear standout. Apple, with turnover above 30 times per year, far outperforms any other company. All other companies, Sony, Samsung, and Siemens, display similar but much lower turnover levels, indicating slower movement of inventory and potentially less efficient operations. In conclusion, this comparison highlights how each company demonstrates different financial strengths. Samsung shows exceptional liquidity and a conservative, well balanced capital structure. Apple stands out as the most profitable and efficient, driven by strong margins and rapid inventory turnover, despite its high reliance on debt. Siemens remains steady in both solvency and profitability, while Sony consistently trails across most categories, indicating areas for improvement. Overall, the analysis shows that no single company dominates every metric. Each has distinct strategic strengths that shape its financial profile. Thank you.
So now that we've covered the financial part, I will talk about the non-financial analysis, which will focus on two main areas. People, meaning the social responsibility, workforce development, and inclusion, and planet, meaning environmental sustainability and climate initiatives. These areas are important because they indicate how well each company is positioned for long-term ethical growth, regulatory expectations, and stakeholder trust. Strong ESG performance often indicates lower risks for reputational problems in the future and higher resilience over long time. So, people dimension. With this dimension, we evaluated company performance in areas such as diversity, workforce investment, human rights, and social responsibility programs. Apple is highly active in social responsibility. One of the standout initiatives is its 100 million Racial Equity and Justice Initiative, which focuses on expanding equal opportunities and addressing systematic inequality. Apple also has more than 50% diverse representation on its board, which positions the company as a strong leader in corporate governance and inclusion um, in terms of diversity, of course. And then Siemens demonstrates a very structured and measurable approach. The company invested 442 million euros in staff training and development, which shows that they are strongly committed to long-term employee growth. Siemens also emphasizes human rights, worker safety, and clear sustainability reporting. Then Samsung has made a progress, especially in workforce diversity. The company has set targets such as doubling women in executive positions by 2030. And it also runs initiatives supporting people with disabilities. Overall, Samsung is moving in the right direction with clear goals and large-scale programs. Now, Sony particularly stands out in the creative workforce development, especially in entertainment and gaming talent pipelines. However, compared to the others, Sony provides less detailed reporting on workforce statistics and employee programs. So it is less passive in the people aspect. And while there is shown some positive progress in general, the transparency could be improved to make more clear judgments. Now, moving on to the planet criteria. Uh, Now we look at Apple, which has made significant progress in emission reduction, achieving 60% cut in carbon emissions and and it conducts extensive supplier sustainability audits. This reflects strong environmental accountability across its value chain. As for Siemens, it's one of the strongest environmental performers overall. The company is already operating at 100% renewable energy and holds top environmental ratings, such as in categories in scores in terms of EcoVadis Platinum and CDP score that it was given as an A, both of which signal global leadership in sustainability. Samsung is also advancing rapidly, especially in its DX division. 93.4% of electricity comes from renewable sources, and company has multiple commitments towards achieving net zero emissions. These numbers reflect major environmental efforts and increasing transparency. As for Sony, it performs well in environmental initiatives, but similar to its people reporting, there are not enough quantitative details. It's very limited, and it's more difficult to track their activity in terms of how they contribute for the planet. While we could also assume based on a few indicators that it's moving in the right direction, there's not enough evidence to compare to other companies for Sony. And to summarize this all, Siemens and Apple demonstrate the strongest and most transparent ESG performance with large investments in people, renewable energy, and measurable sustainability progress.
Recommendation. After conducting a full comparison across factors such as profitability, efficiency, sustainability, and innovation, the company that leads is 100% Apple. Apple demonstrates the strongest financial performance, exceptional efficiency, and a high stable ecosystem that continues to drive its long-term value. While Samsung also provides itself as a solid secondary recommendation because it provides a compelling opportunity for investors, its liquidity remains strong, its profitability is improving rapidly, and its ongoing investment in R&D sustainability show that it prioritizes a very important things in the market. Conclusion. Bringing these insights together, Apple offers the most brilliant and resilient profile overall. It compares financial strength with operational excellence and industry leading sustainability. Samsung, on the other hand, is a company with a strong upward trajectory. It's steady, reliable, and continually improving its other factors that matter the most. While Siemens and Sony did show solid performance, they did not reach the same level of financial metrics as the other two companies. And overall, the final recommendation I would be giving is to prioritize investment in Apple while also considering Samsung as a strong secondary option. These are the references that we used for our PowerPoint presentation today. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and I appreciate this opportunity to present this analysis.